Welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm Sherry Duckworth. Feeding the souls of the homeless is what our first ministry does. Through clothing, feeding, and financial assistance programs, CAM Ministry is harvesting into the lives of the broken. Pastor Z has the story.
Hey, this is Pastor Z. Welcome to Joy in Our Town. We are on site here in San Antonio, Texas, right in the heart of San Antonio downtown at Christian Assistance Ministries, where this place is a buzz. There are dozens of people doing the work of Christ, dozens of people coming because they are in need, and we're looking forward to showing you what's going on here at Christian Assistance Ministries. Take a look.
39 years ago, 9 downtown churches. We took a risk and a leap of faith to create CAM. Said, what would it look like if we shared our gently used items, if we donated our dollars to serve people, if we recruited volunteers from all different churches to go and serve people in need.
CAM is almost completely volunteer run. Most of our volunteers serve one shift a week. They fill grocery bags with food. A tremendous amount of effort goes into each piece of clothing, and it has to be sorted, it has to be put in the correct pantry, it has to be hung up. Our volunteers are interviewing clients, talking to clients, and making decisions.
You are on a very personal level, talking with the clients that come into CAM and discerning what their needs are. So you have to bring out of these folks their real needs, but anyone who comes in the doors here that meets the criteria of CAM, if we are able to help them, we will help them.
I was incarcerated for 2 years. I had lost it all. Lost all my tools, lost my vehicles, lost my homes, lost my family. I've been doing the plumbing trade for about 25 years. Once I had got released, I needed to get some tools. CAM gave me that fresh start. They just told me, you know what, go to the place where they sell tools, we will get you tools. Today, I am the owner of Already Plumbing. You don't know how far your giving goes. It will transform lives like myself.
Wow, what an amazing ministry. We are here with the Executive Director of Christian Assistance Ministries, Dawn Fosdick. Dawn, it's so great to have you today.
Thank you. We're so happy you're here.
This place is absolutely a buzz. I mean, it's Tuesday morning, and there's 30, 40 people everywhere. There's machines rolling. There's buzzing going on. What an amazing operation that you have here. Tell me about day to day, what you're doing and the things that you're doing to help the folks that come to Christian Assistance Ministries.
Well, one of the things that we think is really important about CAM is that no one must have an appointment. No one has to prove that they're worthy. We want to be the place that offers grace and action, and that when someone's facing a crisis, whether it's a short-term, one-time crisis, or it's a long-term issue of mental health disease or physical health, or a family in crisis due to abuse or poverty, we want to be the place that someone can come in that day and get help, and then receive referrals to other locations in town to deal with some of those long-term issues.
Wow. So I'm seeing people coming in today and they're getting groceries, and they're getting toiletry needs, and they're getting clothing.
Yes.
And I think we have a story that we're going to show where one of the things that people really need is assistance with some of the administrative things of being a citizen.
Absolutely.
Getting IDs and
Yes.
birth certificates.
You can imagine we all struggle with sometimes those kinds of things. When you call the insurance company and
Right.
you're about to pull your hair out,
Right.
you can imagine what it would be like if you don't have anything. You don't have your birth certificate, you don't have an ID or a social security card, and you're struggling with getting a job, with poverty, with crisis. It's very, very hard to do. So what we try to do is help people get their ID in order for them to get a job, get an apartment, get health insurance, even things like food stamps. So yes, it's critical.
Because you can't get a job if you don't have an ID.
Absolutely.
If you maybe came from a situation where you weren't shown how to do this, you're an adult and you just don't know how.
Right. We see children who've been in the foster care system who've aged out and they don't know what to do.
Wow.
We see individuals who've escaped abusive situations, so they've had to leave those things behind. Or maybe they've been in a household that was in poverty and crisis and they moved a lot, and so no one saved their birth certificate. No one helped them get a social security card. And we want these individuals to be working and be self-sufficient. And we're pretty much the only place in town that you can walk into and get that kind of help.
Still to come.
They put money on my electric bill, which helped me a lot because I didn't get my lights disconnected.
I signed up for them to pray for my husband and I got a call back. You hardly ever get a call back.
I was embarrassed to ask that I needed help with food or clothing.
Helping people in more ways than one. 4 different success stories from CAM Ministry. Next.
You might not know everyone in your community, but if you did, you'd see that people in recovery from mental and substance use disorders are all around. Reach out for support and begin your recovery journey. Join the Voices for Recovery. Strengthen families and communities.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referrals for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. Next, we're hearing the voices of some of the people CAM Ministry is serving.
I met Cam around 4 years ago when I first became homeless. This is recently because of my illnesses, family tragedy, death in the family.
I was having problems because I'm on Social Security, and they cut my check, and I couldn't get my electric bill paid. And I needed help, and fast, because you know CPS don't play.
I came to CAM first for food and clothing for myself and for my son. I believe it was during the winter months, and so it was mainly to try to get him a winter coat and to get him clothing because we didn't have a vehicle. I remember the winter was cold and we definitely needed to bundle up.
My husband had a liver transplant 12 years ago. That's when I first heard of CAM. We used to have our own business and he fell ill and his health has declined since then.
CAM has helped me in all areas, not just as at lunch, but also in getting clean clothes. Again, I have no money in the street. What I'm wearing right now is all from CAM. Everything from my shoes, my socks, underwear, slacks, shirt, it's all from CAM because so much of the time to donate what they didn't need anymore is someone who does need it. Like we are in need of these donations that come in.
They put money on my electric bill, which helped me a lot because I didn't get my lights disconnected. And that's the main thing. I'm on Social Security because I'm disabled. And I need my electricity. It's hot. It's hot in Texas. And they paid on it and they didn't turn my lights off. And I felt like that was a blessing. They help people every day, people like me who genuinely need help. They are the best thing that I've seen in a long time because these days everybody's talking but nobody's doing. And they actually do.
Wow. I know what you do here isn't easy, but it must feel really good to hear testimonies like that and know that you have the opportunity to come in here and do it again the next day.
Yes.
And really keep you going and keep you excited and motivated about what you're doing.
Absolutely. There's a lot of joy here, even though we're dealing with people's situations that often your average person doesn't realize occurs in our community, the type of poverty, the type of crisis, sorrow. Christ's love just shines through, and it's just such a blessing. And often our clients remind us how powerful God can be in your life.
So none of this happens without a lot of people helping you out, I'm sure, right? I think you told me that there's 30 or 40 volunteers, I guess, on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've got a lot of community partnerships as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a little over 80 churches that formally support us, probably 20 or 30 more that sort of informally support us. People bring over donated clothing, they donate their time, they repair things, and then we have other nonprofits that send clients here and partner with us.
Okay, that's awesome. So I think we're going to hear about a testimony of somebody where there was, I guess you've got some relationships with some more official parts of the state in the city where they're sending folks over here for assistance.
Yes, things like workforce development where people are looking for jobs and maybe we can provide the job clothing they will need, or we might help with that ID recovery I mentioned before. or even help them with their life with utility assistance so they can focus on getting that job and not worry that their electricity is going to be turned off while they're out trying to earn some money.
Wow, what a blessing. Well, let's take a look at that. We've got another testimony about Roy and Annie, and you're definitely going to want to take a look.
I am up on disability and limited income. And sometimes it gets hard. I needed some help financially for a bill or the water was going to be turned off. And I told him the amount, and he went and asked, talked to somebody, and he came back, he says, we can cover it. It gave me such joy. We got food, and we got clothes. We got a lot more than we expected from them.
One of the biggest agencies that refers to CAM is Workforce. People are trying to find jobs, they need a ID. We're one of the very few agencies in the city of San Antonio that actually provides that for them. In order to get the ID, they also need a birth certificate. So CAM either provides the birth certificate or the ID, but that is essential for them to move forward.
My car was stolen and everything I owned was inside my car. My birth certificate, credit cards, debit cards, everything was in here. And I have no way to prove who I am, so I can't get the paperwork started to get where I needed to go, so I needed a birth certificate. People don't realize it, but when you have no identity, you're less than a person. So without a birth certificate, I can't get an ID, and without an ID, I can't work. CAM is giving me my life back. This birth certificate is gonna be a jump start to catapult me to where I need to be.
We've learned from United Way on many occasions that we're probably in their top 5 referral agencies, and we're able to really assess through partnering with them what the top 10 critical needs are in our community. We work really hard to not duplicate services, to be a bridge for where services are lacking, and to address the most critical emergent needs in our community. We couldn't exist without the church community valuing people in need and saying they're going to invest and partner and make it possible for us to open our doors.
To the people that donate to CAM, I'd like to say thank you. There are thousands of people just like me, and I can't say thank you enough. Again, thank you.
What a blessing that is. Wow. So I can imagine we've heard stories about where we're ministering to people and we feel like we're coming in to help people every day, and we end up getting ministered to ourselves whenever we're supposed to be the ministers. I can imagine that probably happens here.
It does. I was just thinking about this sweet little old lady that I was helping down the stairs the other day, and I looked down at her feet and she was wearing house shoes, and her feet looked just swollen and torn up and in pain, and I thought about that, how awful it must be to walk around and be in that kind of pain. And then I said, so how are you doing today? Because we say that even though I think, what a dumb question. Yeah. And then she said, I'm just so blessed. And I just thought, wow, she's blessed. She's so happy to be here and that we're serving her. And if she can say, I'm so blessed, you know, how blessed are we all?
It really brings to light our problems.
It does.
What a blessing that is. So listen, it's been such a pleasure being here with you today. You're doing such an amazing work, and thank you for allowing us to come in as the operation continues to roll.
Coming up, a mission to get people back to work.
How was I going to explain the felony on my record, and how was I going to convince an employer to give me just a chance?
We'll show you what happens when you connect work and faith.
You don't have to wear a uniform for service or sacrifice. Every day, ordinary Americans perform extraordinary acts of courage and selfless service. Please join us in recognizing citizen heroes who have made a difference in the lives of others through their acts of courage and selfless service in communities across America. Nominate a citizen hero today at themedalofhonor.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. Now let's say you're on the right path. You've mended the broken pieces of your life, and now you're trying to find a job. But no one will hire you. What do? We're taking a look at how an organization in Houston is helping people get back to work. Capelia Acevedo has the story.
Hi, I'm Copelia here at the WorkFaith Connection in Houston. More than a job, a new life. I'm really excited to introduce to you this amazing organization, this ministry that is making a difference. Watch this.
The WorkFaith Connection works with a broad group of people. Many of the men and women we serve have been in prison, homeless shelters, drug and alcohol recovery programs, and just as many of the men and women that we serve have just reached a point where they've gotten discouraged in their job search. They've been searching for a while and they've really kind of forgotten what it is they have to bring to the workplace.
To me, one of the most important facets of anyone's life is what they do during the majority of their day. For most of us, that's working in an environment where we feel affirmed, where we feel good about what we're doing, where we feel like we're contributing in some way, and I haven't found a better deal than the WorkFaith Connection offers.
Most of us that work here that are from the WorkFaith Connection have checkered pasts. We know what it's like to be at the bottom, and even though we may not be at the top, we don't ever want to go back to being on that bottom.
You know, God will open many doors for us, but we have to take the steps. If we don't take the steps, won't nothing take place for us.
You know, when you hire a guy off the street these days, it's sort of like the attitude is, what are you going to do for me? And when you hire WorkFaith Connection guys, it's, what can I do for you?
Being released from prison after 25 years, it would be challenging trying to get a job on top of being hooked up to a monitor's device that I had to carry with me no matter where I go. So whoever would have to hire me would have to report to the parole board just as well as me. So there were a lot of obstacles in my way.
I was severely addicted to drugs. I was not a good father. I was not a good citizen. I couldn't keep a job. And basically everything that came out of my mouth was a lie. When I went to prison in 2004, it was a result of me crying out to God and asking Him to take me out of the life I had been living.
So we began our relationship with them with an 8-day workshop, and in that workshop we teach them the practical skills of how to get a job, how to fill out an application properly, how to get a resume that tells the story of what they have to bring to an employer. And we exist to help them understand the challenges they've gone through in the past are the skills that they have developed to bring to that employer.
I was able to really be bold and take more self-control, and I don't think I could have done that had I not been introduced to the WorkFaith Connection.
We are here at the WorkFaith Connection, and I am very excited to share with you a little bit more about what's happening in this amazing place. Our special guest today is the president and CEO of the WorkFaith Connection. Her name is Sandy Schultz. And Sandy, we are so thrilled that you're here on the show today.
And I'm excited to be here to tell you about the WorkFaith Connection.
Awesome. So we just watched this video clip that had to do with just the situation in a big city like Houston, where you see a lot of addiction and a lot of people that go in and out of prison, and just a lot of situations where families are broken and people need help. How does the WorkFaith Connection come in to help?
So we provide the 8-day boot camp so that people can get the skills they need to get a job, and that's actually what causes people to come to us. But really and truly what WorkFaith Connection does, in addition to that very important role, is restore people's hope, remind them how deeply loved by God they are, actually help them to see themselves for the person that God created them to be. So in this workshop where we're doing all these really important things of answering all the important interview questions, coming up here with 30-second commercial, we are really helping people get reconnected to who God created them to be.
I love that. So tell us a little bit, when people come to the WorkFaith Connection, because somebody told them about it, what are some of the different circumstances that you see people coming from?
So the ones we're most obviously known for, about 50% of the people that we're helping are coming out of prison or have struggled with addiction, and their past work employment's not going to look anything like their future because they've gotten their life back on track.
Right.
But the other half of the people, it might be a mom that was a stay-at-home mom for a long time and then suddenly found herself as a single mom, and now she's returning to the workforce and her life's a little bit unsettled because everything about their circumstances just changed. We've had a lot of people that have been in the same job 18, 20, 24 years, and now they're back in job search, but they're older. The market has changed a lot as to how you get a job, and they've become very discouraged. in that job search.
Wow, so you are talking about all ages.
Yes.
Is there a beginning and end to the age range that you serve?
18 minimum, but there is no upward end. We've had people at 72, 75 still wanting to return to work. So
that is exciting. And I'm sure in some cases it'll be because of the finances, in other cases just to stay busy.
Correct, correct.
That is exciting. Do you see some dynamic in the classes? Because I'm sure you probably have a variety of people in the class.
It's the absolute coolest thing, because if you think about it, someone with a college education may have never even encountered somebody in their life before whose mom was doing drugs the day they were born, but they're all here for that same purpose, to get the skills to get a job and be reminded of who God created them to be. So there's this bonding that happens in the class that's something we did not anticipate. And what the Holy Spirit does to bring this group of very diverse people from all economic levels, all background levels, into this common room. One of my newer team members calls it a redemption room. She said, I can't explain what happens in there, Sandy, but it is far more than just helping people get a job.
That's amazing. When you bring God into the mix with the work-faith connection, that faith part of it definitely is life-changing.
It's a huge part. And people do not have to be followers of Christ to come to the work-faith connection. You know, if someone's in job search and they want the skills to get a job, we certainly want to be able to help them. What our staff is trained to do is to love people with the pure and holy love of Christ and let that love do the speaking. Now, we read from Scripture every morning, we pray every morning, but we just really let love do the talking in the midst of all that and let people be drawn to the holiness of God in us.
Still to come.
And every time I get my paycheck, I know that I earned that. And for the first time in my life, I could say that.
I was just so excited to get that certificate. I felt very accomplished.
I've got married to my old junior high school sweetheart.
To be back in the lives of my children it's pretty much what I was created for.
Sharing the love of Christ through the classroom with the WorkFaith Connection. Stay tuned for more Joy in Our Town.
Interstate moving is much more complicated than just moving within your city or town.
Anyone can fall victim to moving fraud.
Do not sign a contract without knowing who you're dealing with.
Do the research on the company that's physically doing your moving.
Do as much diligence as you can and document as well as you can.
Do Better Business Bureau searches. I would Google a company online.
And the best place to find information is through the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Learn how to protect your belongings. Visit protectyourmove.gov.
Welcome back to Joy in Our Town. A deeper look into how the WorkFaith Connection is experiencing the love of Christ. Take a look.
One of the fun things at the WorkFaith Connection is we do a graduation on the last day of class. And for often the men and women we're serving, this is a big step for them because they not only made the commitment to come to the WorkFaith Connection, they've actually done all the work to complete it. So as they stand there with that certificate held in front of them and we're taking that picture and the audience is clapping and cheering them on and just tears streaming down their face as they realize, I did it. I actually did something all the way across the finish line. And this is just the beginning of many completions ahead in their life.
I was just so excited to get that certificate. I felt very accomplished.
And once they have employment, they ring that bell so loudly and with so much joy. It's something they looked forward to. And then the whole WorkFaith Connection family around them is there to celebrate and applaud with them and be part of that milestone of success. It's not just about the workshop. It's not just about getting that first job. It's about learning to make decisions in a way that leads to a productive and stable life.
No matter how you feel, you get a hug every day from someone, and that may be the one thing that holds you over until the next day, just to give you hope.
And every time I get my paycheck, I know that I earned that. And for the first time in my life, I could say that.
I've been able to move out on my own. I've got married to my old junior high school sweetheart.
To be back in the lives of my children it's pretty much what I was created for. You know, I'm a parent, and it's my responsibility to have, you know, a hand in my children growing up and to be an example.
It makes a big difference when you get that second chance at something.
As much as I've done a lot of bad things in the past, if for nothing else, I want to be an example to them that people have the capacity to change and that having God in your life makes a difference.
Today, they are that person of hope for someone else. They are that person of light for for someone else. And it's in that spot that they begin to see they have so much to give this world.
I have to confess to you that the first time I watched this video, I literally had tears in my eyes and I was choking up because, Sandy, it was so beautiful just to see all the stories, people ringing that bell, people clapping and cheering. Just amazing what happens when folks come through the WorkFaith Connection programs. Now, I wanted to ask you if we saw a lot of success stories in the video. Is there one that's really near and dear to your heart?
There is, and so Scott, who was in the video, talked about how he was not a good father, he was not a good citizen. What was so cool was that Scott came to us just 3 weeks after he got out of prison and had not seen his children in 9 years. But while he was in prison, God had really gotten hold of his heart, and he became convinced God was really big on fatherhood, and he wanted to be, as a follower of Christ, a father in the lives of his children, be rebuilding that trust. Last time they saw him, he was addicted to drugs. So rebuilding that trust and being part of that family reunification and seeing those 4 kids be able to have their dad back in their life was a really cool journey to be able to watch unfold over the years that came from that.
That's amazing. And Scott was one of the ones that made me tear up.
Yes.
Because I've been able to do prison ministry, and I know I've heard so many testimonies of what God is doing behind bars. So it's really cool to see what's happening behind the scenes. And then when they come out and they're able to connect with the WorkFaith Connection and your ministry here, that future story that God is writing is just, it gives me chills to think about.
It does. It's pretty miraculous, actually. And to realize that it doesn't cost them anything to come here, that the community has made this provision so that they can come, regardless whether it's prison or just struggling in job search. The next story, the next step is always a beautiful thing to watch what God does.
I'm glad you mentioned both of those things. The fact that it's free. I cannot believe that people can go through this incredible program and land jobs for free. And it's incredible that it's not just for inmates coming out of prison, but you mentioned, moms that are trying to get back into the workforce after staying home or after they're single moms, or people in their 70s, who are trying to get work again.
Well, I'll tell you a dad story real quick, is that one of these men said, my wife was leaving for work every day. He had a college degree, a great job, but he was in such shame over the fact that he didn't have a job that as soon as that garage door would go down, he was crawling back in bed. He had no idea how to embrace this job search and how to provide for his wife and his son. And so many reasons.
That's amazing. So I'm glad you guys are here. Sandy, thank you as president and CEO for everything you do, sacrificing to make sure so many people have a better life in the future. And if you're watching, somebody in Houston or you're in Houston who can benefit from the WorkFaith Connection, today would be an amazing day to visit their website and find out more.
Thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time right here on Joy in Our Town.